Story Sirens, the podcast where we deep dive into myths and legends from around the world. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Yenny. You may have noticed a few changes around the podcast, but don't worry, it's still the same us. We've just grown, evolved, like Pokemon.
Like Pokemon? So then, is it really us still?
Oh, Sarah, we just got back to the show. Please don't start being cryptic off the bat, okay? Come on
Okay,
now.
okay. Fine. I won't pretend that we had to do anything sinister to bring season 2 to life. We didn't have to go and make any nefarious bargains or any deals with any devils or anything.
But speaking of, today on the podcast, we are talking about deals with devils.
Naturally. So, the story idea of making a deal with the devil is almost as old as the concept of the devil himself. While we will not be diving into the history of that particular villain, we will explore a few of these legendary deals and what it is that continues to draw us to these myths. Another name for a deal with the devil is a Faustian bargain. This comes from the play Faust, arguably the most famous deal with the devil story, written in the 1700s and 1800s by the German writer and philosopher Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. We have provided the link to his entire play in the show notes.
I just realized something. There's
What?
two Wolfgangs in this story, but which one is which, you shall find out. Thanks, Project Gutenberg, for everything you've done for us.
Project Gutenberg is the source for the play. So.
Yeah, sorry, I just had an epiphany because I just realized there's like two Wolfgangs in this
I do love
series. And I didn't notice.
Yeah, it's... Didn't you miss the chaos, listeners?
The chaos!
It really is still us. All right, so we say written during the 17 and 1800s because Goethe actually spent the majority of his life writing Faust, with early outlines found in his notebooks from his teenage years, and part 2 of the play, yes, it's a two-parter, we're not the only century to have sequels, part 2 of the play being published after Goethe's death.
But whoa. Talk about commitment, Sarah. I mean, like, do you have any unfinished writing that you've done? I have like a whole folder of like books that I've started, and I get to like chapter 3 and I'm like, oh, there's something on the TV.
I have a whole folder called Story Ideas, and really I should probably rename it to Story Graveyard, but they will be resuscitated at some point in time.
Oh, maybe in our 60s. What if we become like romance novel authors? Romance authors, not novel authors.
Romance authors, yes.
Romance authors. In our 60s.
Where it's the whole like bodice rippers with, Fabio on the cover, like dipping a beautiful woman,
it's
by a
those.
Coastline.
And they always have like an 8-pack. They never have a 6-pack. They have like an 8-pack.
Never.
And they're like
Never.
sweaty.
But he's still comfortable to cuddle. So.
Yes. He has a dark...
Man, retirement
he's
looks
morally
good
gray,
for us.
Morally gray.
Retirement's looking good for us with
Absolutely.
these ideas. All right. So anyway, let's get back to the play. So, the play follows Heinrich Faust, an aging scholar who has studied all fields of human knowledge and has seemingly learned all there is to learn. Man, every time I learn something, I just feel like I know less and less. Despite all of his learning, he has nothing to show for it, cannot seem to find the meaning of life, and is therefore depressed, bitter, angry.
Knowledge is not always power.
Exactly. In fact, he's suicidal.
He needs therapy.
He really does. That would have solved this whole play.
Whole play.
We wouldn't have anything to talk about today. His assistant, Wagner, tries to tell Faust that there is much to live for. There's good in the world. There are mysteries to discover, books to read. But Faust disregards his assistant's words as nothing more than the musings of a naive young man. So, Faust turns to magic, hoping to uncover the truth of the hidden, unknowable forces of the universe. His meddling in magic draws the attention of the demon Mephistopheles, who first approaches our hero disguised as a black dog, a common representation for the devil in England during this time, even though this particular dog in the play was a black poodle.
We love poodles, but not demon poodles. Absolutely not.
We do love a poodle.
But not a demon poodle.
Faust was suspicious of the dog and used magic to remove the disguise, revealing the villain Mephistopheles. Now, keep in mind, Mephistopheles is not Satan himself. He is a demon, a devil, a powerful but lesser evil being.
Is he sexy?
Not now, Yenny.
Okay.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Keep it to yourself. The two talk for a bit and become acquainted, and Faust sees an opportunity. Nothing he has done on Earth has brought him joy or purpose. Perhaps supernatural forces can help him find meaning in life. He strikes a deal with Mephistopheles, saying that if the demon will serve him, can help him attain all the pleasures that could make his heart content. Then when Faust is done pursuing earthly pleasures and ideals and is finally content, he will surrender his soul to Mephistopheles. The deal is agreed upon and signed in blood. So the pair fly, literally, around the world, meeting emperors, soldiers, damsels, and more. Faust takes a potion of youth that makes him 30 years old again, falls in love with the innocent Gretchen, sneaks around with her, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yes, I do.
Then abandons her, not knowing she is pregnant with their child.
Oh, no.
Right?
Wow.
He is also responsible for the deaths of both her mother and her brother.
What?
Right? Yeah, pretty much.
This went from nice to not nice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He then becomes part of an emperor's court and helps with political strategies and economic disasters, making them worse with his suggestions. He summons the ghost of Helen of Troy and falls in love with her, pulls her out of Hades, marries her and has a child with her, tragically loses the child and Helen, meets a homunculus, sphinxes, griffins, more mythological creatures, becomes obsessed with the idea of pulling new lands out of the seas, gains his own fiefdom by the sea, and steals the cottage of a sweet elderly couple by murdering them with 3 magical warriors.
I feel like I've been slapped 10 times and flipped upside down. What kind of whiplash is that? That was a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he has the time of his life.
Well, not always. Some of the time was not that great.
That's true. So, remember how I mentioned he stole a cottage from a sweet elderly couple?
Yes.
Well, this final crime sends Faust, who is now 100 years old, into despair and grief, and he goes blind. Mephistopheles, at this point, orders the souls of the dead to dig Faust's grave and calls for other demons of hell to capture Faust's soul. However, upon Faust's death, heaven intervenes and claims his soul, stating that Faust was seeking to better the world.
Oh, there's no way.
Yeah. Goethe kind of tried to rebrand the original tale of Faust into a more redemptive tale, which undercuts the original play's moral.
Wait. There's an original?
Yep.
Oh, here we go.
Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus is what Goethe based his play off of. And it has the more classical, less hopeful twist on the selling your soul to the devil trope.
Which I think is fair.
I do too.
Yeah.
I prefer this trope. The play premiered in England in 1592, right in the middle of the Renaissance, and was a cautionary tale about the dangers of relentless ambition and compromising one's morals. In this play, Faustus is yet again an aging scholar who is unsatisfied with life and believes he has learned all there is to know about the natural world. So again, he turns to magic. While Wagner, his servant in this play, is out retrieving a spell book Faustus sent him out for, 2 angels approach the good doctor, one evil and one good. Both plead their cases to him, the good angel declaring that Faustus must not meddle in magic, the evil angel promising that Faustus will discover untold wonders if he does meddle in magic.
I know this is super, just different. This reminds me of Kronk's Angels in The Emperor's New Groove. You know, he has both of them
I always
there.
love the scene of yeah, but can he do this? What does that have to do? No, he's got a point. When one of them's doing a handstand. I'm now going to picture Kronk's shoulder angels with Faustus.
With Faust.
That makes this story even better. So, using the spell book that Wagner procured for him, Faustus eventually summons Mephistopheles and instructs the demon to aid him in his quest for knowledge and power. Mephistopheles informs Faustus he can do nothing without the approval of his master Lucifer. In response, Faustus tells Mephistopheles to offer this deal to Lucifer. grant Faustus 24 years of unlimited power with Mephistopheles as Faustus's servant. And after 24 years are up, Lucifer may have Faustus's immortal soul. Which, can I just say, the math does not add up to this for me. I'm just like, 24 years
compared
of just
to
like pure
immortalness,
hedonism,
infinity,
and your immortal soul.
Yeah. You know, Faustus should have known that this was not a good deal.
You know, I'm also thinking, maybe you didn't learn everything there is to learn if you're making deals like this.
Apparently not.
I think you might be a bit of an idiot.
Oh, for sure.
So, while Mephistopheles is gone presenting this bargain to Lucifer, Faustus begins to question what he's just done.
Oh, now.
Right now?
Now?
Right? You're just going to go back on the deal you just offered? Okay, cool. The two angels appear again, trying to win him over to their respective sides. But once again, Faustus chooses the side of evil. When Mephistopheles returns, Faustus signs a contract to Lucifer with his blood.
Is there a demon poodle in this story too?
I wish, but no, there's no poodle.
I
feel like it would bring some levity to this whole thing.
I feel like it would. I feel like Mephistopheles. Man, you keep saying that word, and I'm just looking at you going like, how do you do that? I couldn't even say. There are so many mistakes that I have to cut out from me just freaking destroying names. And here Sarah is like, Mephistopheles. It's like,
I'm very familiar with this character. That's the only reason. Then there are other times where, like, heck, half of the Greek myths we cover where, like, you and I are just writing out their names phonetically, going oh my gosh,
we hate them, but we love them.
Fun fact, I will say, and this might not be a fun fact, this might be very embarrassing and nerdy, but as somebody who studied opera, the opera Faust has a wonderful depiction of Mephistopheles, who is always played by a baritone or a bass baritone. So he has this wonderful, deep, menacing voice. And Samuel Ramey used to play Mephistopheles, and every time I would hear a recording of him, I would just go, I get it, sir, keep singing, yes, I will sell whatever.
Oh, no. He did what...
His voice was so pretty.
Yeah, there's a lot of the times
so pretty.
Where, like, someone's voice just, like, stops you, and you're just like...
Yeah. And I'm just like, I know the moral of the play, but if Sam Raimi keeps singing to me...
Then we're going to have issues.
We're in danger.
I need to call Jared and be like, Jared, there was nothing I could do. He sounded hot. Your wife has gone with Mephistopheles.
You said it. You said it right.
I did.
All right. Here, we'll go back to the podcast. I'm sure I've already made our listeners start screaming at their phones and radios and whatever. All right. So,
radio.
The deal is struck. Is it Bluetooth?
Oh, that's right. Here I'm thinking about like
cars?
The 1920s, like the radios too. I'm like, radios?
But yeah. No, I expect people to be sitting by the fire for their fireside chat with FDR, like it's World War II again. And then after FDR has presented and today the Nazis were defeated thanks to D-Day, then the next thing they're going to turn to is welcome to Story Sirens.
Oh, I love these two. They're so great. And then we're just like, blah, 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 like that.
It's so nice to have something to listen to during the Blitz. All right. Anyway.
Please, Sarah, continue.
Deal struck. Blood is exchanged. Whatever. Their adventure begins.
Demon poodles.
Demon poodles, not in this version, but still, we're looking for them.
Damn it.
Faustus is given basically an entire library by Mephistopheles. He's given books on magic, the planets, nature, history, everything he could ever hope for.
Hentai.
Well, that's the next thing. He's gifted a devil woman for his own pleasure and is entertained by evil spirits.
Oh, the hentai is real.
Right, literally in the play, Faustus asks for the most beautiful woman to marry. And Mephistopheles says, hey, I can't do marriage because marriage is like holy matrimony and therefore I can't do anything holy. So like, here's a devil woman. Just like have fun with her.
Succubus.
Exactly. He and Mephistopheles travel the night sky in a chariot pulled by dragons. Faustus's renown as a sorcerer spreads across the globe, and he entertains emperors, dukes, knights, scholars with his magical illusions. Throughout his travels, Faustus is approached again and again by the good and evil angel, as well as good and well-respected scholars who tell him to turn away from evil and magic and sorcery and repent. Faustus goes back and forth on whether or not he should repent for his wickedness and for making a deal with the devil, but he always chooses to pursue his own gains. In the end, despite being a wealthy man who has even had Helen of Troy as a lover, Faustus tries to bargain with God at the final hour of his life, rather than simply repenting. The play ends with demons dragging Faustus to hell.
I think that's a more likely story.
Exactly. I do too. I'm with you, Yinny. So, why are we as humans so interested in the story concept of making a deal with the devil? Is it just because of two plays that are hundreds of years old? Or is it because of possible real-life occurrences? In the 1930s, Robert Johnson was trying to make a living as a blues guitarist in the Delta Blues region of Mississippi. When he first started playing and singing in public, no one thought much of his ability. Some legends say that other musicians mocked his lack of skill and musicality. And then, Johnson vanished. No one on the music scene heard from him for a couple of years, and he was kind of forgotten. Then, around 1935, Johnson reappeared, and this time his music captivated the crowd. His voice and guitar seemed to keep people in a trance. He was a sensation.
Nice. Go, Robert.
Right? Then, in 1938, he was poisoned by a club owner whose wife was having an affair with the blues musician.
No, why, Robert? Why?
I know. While the poison didn't kill him, the subsequent pneumonia did.
Oh.
Robert Johnson was only 27, a fatal age for the famous and talented. There's a reason we have the 27 Club.
And that'll be another episode.
Honestly, yes.
It could be.
Now, during his tenure as a musician, Robert Johnson only recorded 29 songs. But those songs soared into popularity in the 60s and 90s with the rise in popularity of LPs and CDs. Many listeners of his music described his voice as haunting, the lyrics of his music as either hopeful or terrifying. So how did a relatively unknown artist become a hit during his lifetime and a sensation after his death? Many speculated that it was because during those few years that Robert Johnson had been absent from the music scene, he had made a deal with the devil at a crossroads and sold his soul in order to become a virtuosic musician.
Oh, come on.
The legend spread like wildfire.
Of course it did.
Supposedly, the crossroads in question was at the intersection of highways 61 and 49, and it was there that Johnson was approached by a man dressed all in black. The two talked for a bit, and then the man in black asked to tune Johnson's guitar for him. This worked as the signature for their bargain.
Listen, it's not uncommon for many artists to become famous after they die, which is kind of crazy on its own way,
right?
But look at Selena, for example. She was big when she was alive. She was really big in the Tejano music portion and industry, but she became a sensation after she passed. I mean, she's still an icon today in 2025.
Oh, absolutely.
She did not make no deal with no devil, but
nope.
This also kind of reminds me of the band Perry and the song that they have called If I Die Young. Because, a portion of the song is like, funny when you're dead, how people start listening. Food for thought.
Yep, exactly. Crossroads have a good deal of significance in mythology. As the spot where two roads meet, they have often been regarded as a sort of no man's land, a space between worlds, a fixed in-between.
Kind of like a spot where the veil between worlds is thin.
Precisely. Stories of magic and mayhem occurring at crossroads can be found repeatedly in African, South American, Asian, and European folklore. In England, specifically, members of the Sealy court were believed to take the shape of a large black dog and wait at crossroads, usually as a bad omen.
Like Goethe's Faust. The demon poodle returns. Also, real quick, Harry Potter also has that with Sirius Black being a black dog and like a bad omen. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Crossroads were also considered to be a suitable burial ground for criminals in England, as they could not be buried in hallowed ground. Romanian legend says that crossroads are the meeting places of devils and vampires, and gods and goddesses of various cultures are said to preside over crossroads, including Hermes and Hecate of Grecian legend, and Chimada no Kami of the Japanese pantheon. There has even been some debate that it wasn't actually the devil who approached Robert Johnson in that legend, but actually Papa Legba, the keeper of gates in the voodoo tradition. Now, I just want to say real quick, Robert Johnson's improvement in skill couldn't have possibly come from him taking the time to step back and work on his craft, right?
Oh, no.
It couldn't have possibly resulted from him taking hours and hours to practice and study.
No.
There's no way an individual can improve their art form by working diligently on it.
Of course not, Sarah. What do you think this is? Real life?
You're right, Yinny. They must obviously be in cahoots with evil forces.
Aha.
And there's absolutely no connection between this legend of Robert Johnson, a black man in the 1930s, and racial tension, right?
Of course not.
Or the fact that blues music in America has always, strangely, been somewhat connected to the devil and evil, which is its own cultural kettle of fish that we won't dive into today.
Guys, that kettle is deep and just off. It's weird. I don't understand.
A little frightening.
I love blues music. I think it's so amazing. Every time, I remember when I went to NOLA, New Orleans, we would just sit and just like listen to the music. You just
enjoy
sit anywhere. It was so amazing. A little bit, the only thing I didn't like about New Orleans was that like people don't take care of the area. You know what I mean? Like people they get drunk, they like throw things on the floor. So it's like dirty because of the simple fact that no tourist really cares enough to, I don't know.
They just treat it as a party
throw
ground.
it in the garbage can. Why you got to throw your stuff on the floor? Ugh, that's another thing. I'm going off on a tangent, Sarah.
I know. Here, I'll bring it back. So, did Robert Johnson really sell his soul to the devil at a crossroad in order to become one of the most influential blues musicians in American history? Most likely not. Does it make for an interesting story? Yeah.
I suppose.
So thank goodness Johnson's 29 songs are still in circulation. You can find them on all music streaming platforms. Give them a listen to see what inspired musicians like Bob Dylan, Eric Clapton, Fleetwood Mac, Rolling Stones, and legends. But fear not, dear listener. There are tales where the human dealer survives the devilish dealer. Enter Saint Wolfgang, our second Wolfgang.
Aha.
And the church the devil built.
A devil can build a church.
In myths and legends, yes.
Of course.
This legend is also based on a very real person. Wolfgang was born in 934 AD in the southwestern region of Germany.
Which, again, great name, by the way. And let's
Right,
talk
I
about
love the
how
name Wolfgang.
both Wolfgangs did something with a deal with the devil. I think that's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Maybe they were reincarnated. Craziness.
Another type of episode.
Another episode. There you go.
He was a student at the Benedictine Abbey of Reichenau, then moved to Würzburg and became a teacher at a local cathedral school. He was ordained in 968, then was sent with a group of monks to Hungary to evangelize to the local peoples there. He was later appointed as the Bishop of Regensburg by Emperor Otto II, and his fame and popularity in that region grew. In later years, he retired to a hermitage to live out the rest of his days in quiet and scholarly solitude. But as for his legend...
Oh, we've been waiting.
Yeah, I have to give some context.
Of course, your favorite.
Legend has it that while in the wilderness outside of Salzburg, an older Wolfgang had a vision for a beautiful church that would honor God and be a welcome place for people to worship and learn. He vowed that he would see this church built. So, he picked up an axe, determined to find the spot where the church would be built, and would go and clear the land.
An axe? I mean, wouldn't he use like a shovel or something? What do you do with an axe except cut the tree? But
I'm assuming he's clearing trees.
By himself? Oh, well, this is the 900s, so I guess.
He's got some passion here.
He's got
some
passion.
He hiked up and down many hills, but could not find a suitable spot. So, while standing on top of a mountain, he said, I shall throw my axe, and wherever it lands is where God's church will be built. He tossed the axe, and it spun through the air and landed in a grove between a mountain and a lake.
What if a person was, like, minding their own business, and now they have an axe to their head? Are you sure this person is a bishop? I have questions.
Listen, he might be a saint, but OSHA detests him. So, as Wolfgang approached where the axe lay, not in the skull of some innocent bystander.
Thank God.
A wolf darted out in front of him. Wolfgang asked the wolf if he would help him build his church. The wolf answered, saying,
I cannot help you. The hunter is after me.
And disappeared into the trees.
You know, I would have been more happy if you said a demon poodle appeared, but now I'm kind of thinking, is this a werewolf? Is this going to be like one of the werewolf love stories?
Where, like, I mean, how else is the wolf talking?
Crazy.
We've gotten so used to all of this weirdness, we didn't even question the fact that the wolf
spoke.
All right, so shortly after, the hunter came to where Wolfgang was, and Wolfgang asked him the same question. Will you help me build this church? The hunter cursed at Bishop, saying that he was after his prey, and what's more, there was something evil chasing the hunter. So off he ran after the wolf.
Sarah, please, can you say it just this one time?
Okay, just this once. Yes. So off he ran after the demon poodle in the trees.
Thank you.
So after the hunter's departure, clouds covered the sun, plunging the clearing into darkness. Then came the being that had been pursuing the hunter, Master Urien, also known as the Evil One. Urien recognized Wolfgang and called out to him.
Wolfgang, what brings a bishop here?
Wolfgang answered the devil, saying, I am here to build a church, but I am lacking in helpers. You're not up to anything good, so why don't you help me build the church? Urien answered,
You want me to help you build a house of God?
Wolfgang confirmed that, indeed, the devil's help was what he was asking for. Urien smiled and said,
I will help you build this church, but only on the condition that the soul of the first person who walks through the doors of the church will belong to me.
I picture like lightning and thunder.
And the demon poodles coming out.
So the two got to work building the church. The Evil One brought out all of his tools and cut, drilled, sawed, hammered, plastered, masoned, and painted. He built a beautiful but odd church that was quite a thing to behold. Which, yeah, no duh. It's a devil building a church.
Exactly.
Wolfgang's vision had become a reality. But now, Wolfgang was unhappy. He said to Urien, An immortal soul is too high a price to pay you. Urien laughed at him and said,
Ha ha ha! Men have slaughtered each other for less. I will not be swindled. You agreed to my price, and I have done what you asked. Shall I curse you for going back on your word and becoming a hypocrite?
Wolfgang shook his head and prayed that God would provide a way out of his bargain with the Evil One. Just then, there were noises in the trees. It was the sound of a hunting horn. Wolfgang quickly opened the door to the church, just as the wolf sprang from the trees with the hunter close on his heels. The wolf darted into the church, and Wolfgang shut the door. There, he told Urien, your payment is inside. The first soul to walk through the church door.
No, but the wolf was just running away. He was trying to find Bella.
The wolf was killing the livestock in the city.
It's okay, he needs to eat.
Urien raged against this, calling it a cheap trick and dishonest, and threatened to curse both the church and the bishop. The hunter was angry as well, for he had been chasing the wolf for ages since it had been attacking the livestock of his neighbors. But Urian, what? What are you laughing at?
Why would he be angry at that? At least he didn't take his soul. He's like, dang it, I wanted to catch that wolf. I mean, come on.
Right. Like, you really want to haggle with the devil over a wolf?
Yeah, come on now. Unless it's Jacob
So
Black.
Urian...
Just saying.
So Urian took the wolf and slammed the church door, damaging it so badly that the damage remains to this day. And the hunter went home angry that he had not caught the beast himself. And to this day, the church stands tall near the Abersee Lake, now called the Wolfgang See.
Well, you know what? I'm glad there's a victory story here. You know what I mean? Someone won the devil.
Right? But yeah, there's your introduction to deals with the devil in mythology. Humanity is constantly fascinated by the topic and doesn't seem to be letting go of the idea anytime soon. The concept of summoning a powerful being to grant power, knowledge, youth, talents, wealth, etc., in exchange for a soul that one may or may not believe they have is a striking idea. But also, the idea of outsmarting a devil is also very highly appealing.
Okay, a bit of a disclaimer. We here at Story Sirens are not suggesting you try to strike a deal with the literal devil, okay?
Of course not. Come on, Yanni, I was not suggesting that at all.
Well, you need to be clear on this stuff, okay? You're gonna give me a heart attack.
Oh, please. And as I said, this story trope isn't going anywhere. Some could say that AI is the new evil that humanity is trading its soul for. But, as always, that's a discussion for another podcast.
Girl, you're stressing me out, but also ChatGPT is terribly powerful.
Yeah, and alluring.
Oh, yes. Let's move on to modern media before we all think twice about ChatGPT.
Well, Yenny, there are so many stories with this topic. It's not going to be helping your stress.
Let's just go through these in rapid-fire motion, shall we? First up, the fairy tale Bearskin by the Grimm brothers.
The TV episodes Printer's Devil and Escape Clause from the Twilight Zone series.
The short story The Devil and Daniel Webster by Washington Irving.
The anime Death Note by Sugumi Ohba and Takeshi Obata.
The Ghost Rider comic book series.
The Constantine comic book series and movie starring Keanu Reeves.
The 1967 and 2000 films Bedazzled.
The film The Devil's Advocate.
The popular song The Devil Went Down to Georgia by Charlie Daniels.
And pretty much every other episode of the Supernatural TV show.
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I think that's a great siren call.
Just go through this list.
Yeah, go through this list. I mean, I will say the song The Devil Went Down to Georgia is so fun to listen to.
I love that song.
You know, and also I feel like it's in every single country, like, you know, when you go to, what's it called? When you go line dancing, they always have this song. Because it's just so fun.
Because it's fun. It's such a fun song. I am a big fan of The Twilight Zone, so of course I highly recommend Printer's Devil and Escape Clause because they're always so clever. Also, if you're a Brendan Fraser fan, the 2000s Bedazzled stars him. So, yeah, just pick any of these.
Pick them.
We've sorted through this mayhem enough, but yeah.
Yes, and we're so excited for this season. This season is cram-packed with some really, really cool things. We have some monthly themes that'll be going on, and we are so excited to get into those. But without further ado, we'll let you go back to your time in the 1900s of while FDR just finished talking. And
the fireside chat, yes.
Yeah, the fireside chat. Now go milk that cow. Go.
And when you come back to the 21st century, make sure to join our public Discord group, which is linked in the show notes.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Story Sirens. You can follow us on Instagram at Story Sirens Podcast. Want to support us? Send us a cup of Ko-fi by searching ko-fi.com/storysirens. We've got lots of treats for those who become siren seekers. All research materials can be found in the episode summary.
Music by Donald Guzzi and artwork by Alexis Torres. Story Sirens is a Feather and Fin production. See you soon.